Howdy, folks. I'm Mark. Today I am joined by Parker Deal. Parker, thank you for joining me for this short talk about video games.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And you are listening to Quick Play, so let's get right into it. Throughout this year, we'll be running an ongoing series with our guests on the future of video games. But ironically, today we are starting with the future of video game movies because today Parker is here to answer what is the future of Nintendo Pictures. But first, we'll start with a little status check on what are the vibes like around Nintendo Pictures right now. Knowing too that the Mario Galaxy movie is out today, this day the podcast goes up. It's not out for us yet. We haven't seen it yet, unless Parker snuck in a little 7 a.m., 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. showing. Which also, granted, that's not necessarily a Nintendo Pictures venture, which we'll get there, but we're all lumping this together.
Yeah.
But Parker, what's the vibes like for Nintendo movies, Nintendo Pictures, the company?
Yeah.
What's going on?
It's a good question. Hence the topic. I think so far we've just got the Mario movies to go off of, and then we've got the Zelda movie coming up and stuff. So like, as far as known quantities, it was interesting. I was listening to NBC a couple weeks ago, and they're doing their hot takes on various things. And one of them, the hot take was basically this part isn't so hot of a take, but that the Mario movie was fairly shallow and, made all this money. So the hot take part of it was, and ... Nintendo will lean into that and will become more shallow as a company because they'll be chasing the big bucks and stuff, which I thought was a bit silly, just because if Nintendo wanted to do that, they would have done that years ago. And they, I'm sure in their own ways, but not in that particular kind of way. But all that to say, so far we've just got, honestly, the first Mario movie to go off of, and then I guess we'll get to the Pikmin thing in a bit. I'm excited for this new Mario movie. I'm seeing it tomorrow with my godson and some folks, and I think it'll be a nice time. But overall, I'm feeling excited. But it does feel like we're at the kind of starting point of who knows totally what, which we will discuss.
Which, to be fair, it's a bit of a restarting point, as
very true.
There once was a Mario Brothers movie, and there once was all these Saturday morning cartoons of Nintendo characters. But they took a long hiatus of those.
They really did.
I kind of in the camp. I'm kind of in the camp of the Super Mario Brothers movie itself was kind of just okay. It was more. I would say there was more character depth than I expected.
Sure.
But I kind of expected a little bit more. Actually, I was kind of going into it excited for all the references and everything like that, and was actually let down by that, that's really kind of more shallow. But I'm more excited for Galaxy because I think the Galaxy movie looks like there's more of all these references crammed in and stuff that will just hit the dopamine receptors in my brain.
Yeah.
But very nice. I do know too. You mentioned the Pikmin.
Yeah.
What do you got in mind in Pikmin? Bring us up to speed on what happened there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so probably most of the listenership knows, but just in case. So last October or something, I think, Nintendo Pictures put out their first official thing, which was at first a short of just a baby doing some stuff, and some invisible things were moving things around was the looks of it. And then at the end, it was a touching moment where baby learns to walk separate from its mom, or any parents, which as a parent, I was like, honestly, that would be kind of sad if I just walked into a room and my baby was walking all of a sudden. I was like, no, you gotta wait for me. But nevertheless, and then everybody was like, is this a Pikmin thing? And then the next day, sure enough, they reposted the same thing, but it had all the Pikmin in it. And that was just an interesting little stunt. I mean, I liked it. Ezra's watched it. My daughter's watched it
nice
a whole bunch of times at this point. But yeah, what were your thoughts on that?
Well, the other wrinkle of this too is this was first exclusively posted in the Nintendo Today app.
This is true.
It was up on YouTube a little bit later as well, but it struck me as odd. I love the idea of you could just wake up one day and they made a Pikmin short. How fun is that? That's so nice. It was just a weird rollout of like, what is this?
Yeah.
There's nothing in there. These are invisible creatures? Like it seems like it should be Pikmin, but there's not Pikmin. And the next day,
Mhm.
like you guessed it, it was Pikmin, and it just feels like okay, great, I liked it. What of it? And there's like this is just what we're doing. This is what Nintendo Pictures is about.
Mhm.
Um, and so it's both a like I do enjoy that they're doing this. I'm
Mhm.
excited for more from them, but is it going to be this confusing every time? Or I
Sure.
guess this is what the precedent they set.
Yeah. It's interesting because that and, the Mario movie and stuff, like, my question is, where does Nintendo see the value of these? Like, what's the end goal? Is the end goal to get as many people to watch the Pikmin short as possible, and in and of itself, like as an into itself? And I would argue probably no. But did it make kind of a big splash, and did it get people talking about Pikmin in general? Yeah. Did it lead into a specific Pikmin thing afterwards? No. And that was, I think, the part that surprised people the most was like,
Yeah.
you'd imagine that if you're going to do a big thing about Pikmin, and they obviously put in a lot of time and effort and money into this, that it would turn into like, and now we're going to market something off the back of this. But it doesn't seem like, even with the Mario movie, like
Mhm.
they, they have a lot of Mario games out and stuff, and then they have the Mario Galaxy obviously was re-released last year, and then the movie coming up this year, and then sure enough, there will be more Mario content following this, and we'll get to Star Fox in a bit,
Yep.
but the it doesn't seem like they're quite using these things as a stepping stone exactly for a specific thing, more just like a cultural stepping stone. Like,
Yeah.
it's like we're going to make as great a thing as we can as possible, and
Mhm.
it will like bolster the name of Mario and of Donkey Kong
Yes.
and all this stuff. And like the Donkey
Yeah.
Kong thing's an interesting one, because then Donkey Kong Bonanza came out, and
Right.
I
Yeah.
feel like I mean, obviously the design of Donkey Kong in the movie was huge, like had huge ripple effects into what Donkey Kong has been over the past 12 months.
Right.
Um, so yeah,
Yeah. And I realized too of we're still coming from this other perspective of like, all of this is just a lot of marketing for
sure.
Nintendo games. Like that's we assume of like, oh yeah, of
Hmm.
course you would try to line up a video game to align with the Mario Brothers movie, and they just didn't do that.
Hmm.
Donkey Kong was kind of this sort of stepping stone, but maybe kind of by accident. And like I think it is
Could be,
just like
yeah.
no, that this is there's no like of course there's marketing and of course it's all synergistic together, but it's like,
Hmm.
no, this Pikmin short is the Pikmin short because we want to do a Pikmin short. It's like
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be marketing for a Pikmin game. It like
Hmm.
if you want to play a Pikmin game because you watched it, then by all means, you can buy any of these assorted 1, 2, 3, 4s here. Um, but I think it's still like we assumed that this project had to be coinciding with an announcement,
Hmm.
and obviously Nintendo doesn't see that
Yeah.
way either. And so I guess we have to reframe our expectations. I have to reframe my expectation that this is also just like this is just another way that Nintendo is showing you their brands for a clinical term, but like all their worlds and artistic things they're making,
Yeah.
uh, because they want you to. They want
Yeah.
you to consume this.
Yeah, and it seems like I think exactly that. Their brands, their worlds, like here are the IPs that they own and would benefit from those IPs kind of infiltrating your brain and your home
Mhm.
and your wallet in whatever
Yes.
way, shape, or form. And like let's assume positive intent, and it's because they love these things and they want you to get to enjoy these things too. And let's also assume they want to make money. Like both of those
Yes.
things equally true. Or
That is video games for all of us. Yes.
exactly. And so, it's like, uh, yeah, like I think back to the year of Luigi, and like that it almost feels like last or that,
You're my lord. Year of Luigi.
yeah, that's the one. Um, the green man himself. Like the way that Donkey Kong kind of came out of the Mario movie feels a
Mhm.
lot like kind of at some point they just sat around and they were like, all right, what are we going to do about Donkey Kong? And like, he was, all right, he's in the movie. And like, they just
Yeah.
shaped the whole kind of launch pad of this character. And maybe that's not what happened, but it is like how, you know, how it kind of seems, or it's just maybe it worked the other way around, where they had the idea for Donkey Kong, they came up with something, and then they felt rejuvenated and refreshed around the idea because
Mm,
they saw him in a new light and thought he
yeah.
looked great. And so I do wonder, kind of moving into the future bit for
Yeah.
like Star Fox, for example,
Right.
what
Yes.
I mean, and there's rumors around for other things, um,
Right.
but how do we, anticipate, even just within the Nintendo Pictures side of it and
Yeah.
stuff. But like, yeah, how did that come about? What do you think?
On the Star Fox bit, or just
Yeah,
kind of
I'm
the
also
yeah.
whatever.
Yes. It like what you got me thinking about too is like I think I come into this assuming there's a strategic plan, and at one point
Sure.
they had their big board retreat, and over the
Mhm.
first couple days they whiteboarded out what the next 10 years of Nintendo looks like, and maybe it is much more of like, hey, we're like this movie wanted to use Donkey Kong.
Mhm.
This gets us really. I think the game had to be in probably was in development alongside the movie as
Mhm.
well, but like kind of just it was mutually inspirational
Yeah,
is
for sure.
which that also like that kind of is a bit more endearing to the idea of all these kind of lead into one things. Um, but now here we are where weirdly this is not a spoiler because there's a little poster with them, but like Star Fox
Yeah.
is showing up in the Mario
Mhm.
Galaxy movie as like this other Nintendo franchise character showing up, voiced by Glenn Powell. Um, just very funny, good
It is.
casting.
Yeah.
Um, but then there's rumored of a Star Fox game coming out. Like, was
Mhm.
that all on purpose? Like,
Mhm.
and that feels like after the first Mario movie came out, and there wasn't like a 3D Mario to coincide with it.
Sure.
Um, there really wasn't any Mario game. I'm trying to because that was that 22 or 23 Mario.
Mario Wonder was
Okay,
following that.
okay,
Yeah, because it was 23, and it was
okay.
so Mario movie, Tears of the Kingdom, Mario Wonder that holiday.
Yeah, okay.
But they had a bunch of, Mario other games kind of leading into it. Princess Peach, honestly, probably a big one that in their
Yes,
minds would tie it
yeah,
together. Honestly, like if they had timed that to release after the movie, that would have made maybe a little more sense, but
yeah,
they did not. So,
right. And it's like it just seems like they are not beholden to the timelines we assumed they would be beholden to.
yeah.
And so I kind of just assumed like, well, they just don't care about it, so they're not really trying for this. But now it
Mhm.
feels like okay, if this rumor of a Star Fox game coming out
Sure.
in the summer is true, it's like, well, that seems really purposeful that they maybe shoehorned Fox McCloud in the Mario Galaxy movie, or because of the Star Fox game coming out, or they made a Star Fox game because they wanted to use Fox McCloud,
Yeah.
like all the above. And I don't know if that
Yeah.
makes you more cynical. What do you think?
I
Uh,
I feel like I think everything's a funnel back to games probably for them.
mhm.
And also like this, high tides rises all ships sort of situation
Yeah,
where the more things they can elevate, if they can bring some other stuff along with it, then awesome. So, again, Donkey Kong getting brought up with Mario and now Star Fox, and
yeah,
um, they have a number of IP. I know you've introduced me to the channel Nintendo Forecast, and I've watched a
yes,
good deal of that channel now. And
yeah,
that he makes a great point that Nintendo, like their key IPs that they always repeat that they have, are basically it's just some of their ones that they fully own and invest in and stuff. So far, Star Fox
yeah,
is not included in one of those. So it's like the Zelda, Mario, Pikmin, which like Pikmin might be an interesting one because that's like kind of it's not a huge seller. Splatoon
yeah,
is a big seller. Metroid not a huge seller, but it is on
right,
there. Um, Donkey Kong and stuff. So like most of those kind of, I feel like they have a good repertoire of things now, whether um, yeah, to be able to use. And so I do wonder if Nintendo Pictures is going to be a way to try to elevate some like C tier ones up to the B tier, to bring
yeah,
them kind of into their or however you want to tier those. So
yeah,
like the Star Foxes is like, what can we do to to boost, pun fully intended. Actually, yeah, use the boost to get through. To use the boost to get through this riffraff to get Star Fox into somewhere where it can be something that they can, be proud of and market and kind of continue and stuff. And that one's had
Yeah,
issues also because they haven't been the primary developers of it barely
sure.
ever.
Right.
So that's its own thing. But
Yeah. So, so we're looking to. I mean, we've been talking about the future kind of this whole time, but
sure,
particularly
yeah.
there are these. Let's take a look at what the known quantities are so
Hmm.
far, and kind of like what are you excited about? What are you skeptical of? Because I
Yeah.
know we've already had the Mario Brothers movie. Before that, we had Detective Pikachu, which is maybe in kind of this
Oh,
realm.
sure. Yeah.
That's Pokemon Company. That's all the above. That was from Warner Brothers, so
Hmm.
that feels like it's kind of its own thing. Um, Legend of Zelda movie coming out, live action from Sony Pictures, not
Hmm.
Illumination.
Sure.
Still very odd and weird, but that's happening. Um, Donkey Kong movie is
Hmm.
rumored. It's kind of like assuming this is Seth Rogen's Donkey Kong
Sure.
and everything. That whole realm from the first Mario Brothers movie come back, and then it's kind of a open slate from there. It's like you
Yeah.
could maybe guess a Star Fox movie,
I would be
a
so
Pikmin.
surprised. I mean, but like,
Yeah,
awesome if they did, but like, Star Fox really does seem so much further down the
right.
popularity totem pole. But I mean, again, maybe in 24 hours I'll be singing a different tune, and that he'll
Yeah,
be the rising star from this movie. Because like I think we think of game franchises in a way that it really is kind of a slow build up, oftentimes, and sometimes something will jump out. Movies just aren't like that, I guess, really,
yeah,
like that you can have. I mean, Iron Man, the classic example, just like it wasn't anything, and then Iron Man came out, and then immediately was something. Um,
sure.
Obviously, a bit exaggerating both sides there, but the yeah. So I think, but I do wonder, yeah, does Star Fox get more cinematic universe showing past this? Like, and also I'm curious on your thoughts on like, do we get into a show of anything
Yeah,
at all? Like, and
yeah,
you mentioned the Nintendo Today app also. Like, that's how do they use that to leverage all this? And are there more things that go straight to that? Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Who knows? And that's also of like, well, the Nintendo Today app. That's a marketing tool. Like
For sure.
that's why it's there.
Hmm.
And so it does feel it almost feels incongruent that like the Pikmin short showed up there first because it's like
Hmm.
that's what we and that's even why like we expect an announcement because like this is your marketing thing. Like
Hmm.
you're showing us marketing and this is what we agree to. We
Yeah.
all know what's happening here. And it to not be a marketing thing is kind of like, well,
Hmm.
shouldn't this have been, somewhere else, like in front of, like make it the short before the Mario Galaxy movie instead, like a Pixar short,
Yeah.
which feels like that would give it a little bit more
Hmm.
gravitas instead of it being a marketing thing. Uh, and so it is hard to even parse out of like, is Nintendo Pictures, is this going to be in that weird? So they've even made like Miyamoto made the distinction like Nintendo Pictures is not going to be the ones making the movies.
Hmm.
We're letting Illumination do that. We're letting Sony Pictures do that. But will it they be kind of relegated more towards this? It's kind of marketing, but not really. We're trying to
Hmm.
take ourselves more seriously than that. In a way, it's nice, but also just kind of it's a little odd delivery. And
Yeah.
it's kind of I hope they can break out beyond that. But what do you think is kind of the expectation
Yeah.
for
I mean,
them?
that's a great question because like what are the as that kind of team, what are the kinds of things that they could deliver? Obviously, shorts is on the lower end of that.
Yeah,
That's not the lowest end of that. Probably the lowest end of that is like little snippets and trailers and stuff. And like honestly,
yeah,
I think maybe that's kind of some of what it's been behind the scenes. Even like we haven't gotten
yeah,
credits on these things, but on the Nintendo Today app, there's a number of things that like are little animations that may seem like they're made from game assets, but maybe it's kind of using game assets and Nintendo Pictures to do something, whatever. So like maybe that's it.
yeah,
Maybe it's the Pikmin short is the biggest that it's ever going to be from their team. I would hope not, but
Yeah.
also partially just because we haven't seen much of it. Like I'd like to see more. And it does feel like, in the same way that Nintendo likes to have third parties cut their teeth on remakes, Pikmin
Mhm.
does feel like a really good starting point for an animation team because it's so much like just little physical comedy, little bits, and
Yeah.
there is an overall arc, but it's not necessarily like it's something where they can segment it. I would imagine. I don't know how animation works, but I would imagine that there's some way in which they can kind of storyboard little bits and pieces and cut out whatever they want, and it still kind of work.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
whereas other things, maybe that's less the case, where there's more story involved and stuff.
Yeah. It should be noted too, of like Nintendo Pictures has actually been around a lot longer, as they
Sure.
were
Yeah.
Dynamo Pictures before this, and before that they were originally Visual Science Laboratory Incorporated.
Oh yeah,
Um,
classic. Rolls off the tongue.
yeah, yeah, you know that one. Everyone household name.
Yeah.
But it was even like last year. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page right now, but
Hmm.
they delivered both Close to You, like Nintendo's Pikmin short film,
Hmm.
and also they did motion capture for Death Stranding 2. And so I wonder too of how much of this
Under the
stuff is.
moniker of Nintendo Pictures?
Yes, yeah, as Nintendo Pictures.
That's so
Uh,
interesting.
and a part of me is I wonder too of like because Nintendo bought them in
Yes. Was that an
2022.
existing thing that they
Yeah,
had? Or
like how many
yeah.
of these existing contracts do they have to round out? Because they still have like they did helped on motion capture for Romeo's a Dead Man from that's the Grasshopper manufactured game.
Hmm.
Uh, so they might still have a lot of these like contractual obligations of finishing out before they could start on like the Splatoon anime or something like that.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know if there's. It feels like their output is like as far as like Nintendo first party stuff, their output's not much to show for like
Hmm.
6 years now. But that's probably because their output is actually a lot more stuff they've been working on because they have to work on it.
Yeah.
And makes me wonder what we could see in the years ahead.
Yeah. You have me too.
With that in mind, too, like what if we are thinking 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead?
Yeah.
What do you think Nintendo Pictures is known for? Do you think it's still like this weird marketing thing, or do you think it becomes something more elite and artful?
And in this, we're not talking about like Nintendo movies umbrella, but
Mm-hmm.
specifically Nintendo Pictures, the subset.
Yes,
Okay, Google.
and then let's answer
Sure.
that other question next. That's a good one.
I mean, it's tough to say without knowing what the ceiling could be, because in theory, it could be like they should put out 50 movies a year, and and that's just not realistic. So,
Right.
We'll do our best. I would love for, I mean, like you said, Splatoon anime or whatever. Like, I don't know that would be in their wheelhouse specifically within that team, but I would love it if they had some output on each of Nintendo's like key franchises
Mm-hmm.
on some semi-regular cadence, like once a year kind of a thing. Like that's not very quick turnaround. So hopefully would give enough time for them to do something like that. But like whether it be shorts or, I mean, I would love for there to be shows. I just don't know again if that's in something that they would do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, if it's just the close to you kinds of things out of the blue, but for different franchises, I wouldn't hate that. Like that would be fine. It might feel like a bit of a wasted opportunity, but yeah, also could end up just being a fun thing. The same way that like Nintendo Direct seemed weird at first, and then now is like the standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll start there. What about you?
Yeah. I would hope we're in the point where it's like we're talking about something that's bigger for them, like
Yeah.
maybe a series, like an
Yeah.
animated series or something. There's part of me, and this is bleeding a little bit into kind of what's the future of Nintendo feature films and kind of bigger projects of like everyone's talking about is this leading towards not everyone is this leading towards Smash Brothers movie, and like I don't
Sure.
think so.
Yeah.
I would rather see Nintendo Pictures be kind of like we have all these clips and stuff, the announcement videos from Smash Brothers.
Mhm.
I'd rather see Nintendo Pictures be kind of like this, make all these vignettes of Nintendo characters interacting, and you don't have to you don't have to have like a lore reason why they're coming
Mhm.
together. They're just there, and it's like there was. I think this is for Smash Bros. For Wii U, but there was like this kind of anime-esque fight of Link and Pit fighting, and that was like
Uh-huh.
just a cool. It was just a cool
Yeah,
thing
it
to
really
see.
was very cool.
And there's no explanation of why is Link here. Like they don't
Uh-huh.
need to. It just like it's a chance to see them do something just a 4 minute thing of like that was pretty cool to watch, and it's I don't have any expectations of it because it's 4 minutes long. So I'm kind
Mhm.
of stuck between of like I kind of hope that they are constantly churning out these short film things, but
Mhm.
while also hoping like hope they get to do something bigger than that too.
Yeah.
Um, that's where
Yeah.
I land.
I mean, I guess the question really is like, are they an entity that needs to make money in and of
Mm,
themselves? Because if they're not,
yeah,
and if it's if Nintendo's
that's a good
prerogative
question.
is we will give you guys this amount of money and let's figure out some cool stuff to make with it,
Yeah,
then that's a really
yeah,
different proposition than well, here's the amount of money and then obviously like make a return on
yeah,
investment. So if that's the case, if it needs to be a return on investment, obviously marketing money is that's a thing. Like in some ways,
yeah.
marketing is just flushing money down a drain. Anyway, in worst case scenario, but
Right.
um, but yeah, whether they at some point could make series that is exclusive to Nintendo Switch Online folks. People have talked about that sort of thing. Um,
Yeah,
and then that would
yeah,
be a way to to make money for it. But let's say that they're not required to directly make money. I think what you said, like a subspace emissary, basically
oh
of
man,
just for the
that's
sake of it would
what a
be
great thing.
incredible. Like that would be
Yeah,
so cool. But even if what it is that they just actually no, I was going to say if what they do is help with other like the Smash reveals or whatever and make
yeah,
those things awesome by being Nintendo Pictures kind of powering those, I was going to say that would be great. But the thing is, it does feel like I would you kind of get mad when the Smash reveals are really good because like that could have been a full thing, and
yes. Oh
it's
man,
it is tricky because like what counts as a full thing, and I don't really know, um, because
yeah,
like a Pikmin short, like that's not particularly long at all, but it still felt like a full arc, and I
yeah,
guess getting to see the beginning, middle, and end of whatever thing it's actually trying to show. Whereas for the Link and Pit, it was you get to see them fighting and whoa, it's crazy, and then Palutena shows up, and then Smash footage,
right.
which kind of
Yeah,
doesn't deliver on the promise of what's happening there. So it's a bit of a you know um, bait and switch in that context. But
yeah, that's fair.
yeah.
What about Nintendo's bigger projects? It's like ones
Mm-hmm.
with Illumination, ones with Sony.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think they'll? Where do you think we're headed over the next 5 or 10 years?
So the fact that they're working with Illumination and Sony can give hope that they could have a bit more like that there could be a Nintendo property out in theaters every year, basically,
Mm-hmm.
because and
Yeah,
they're essentially just working with third parties at that point. And there's obviously a lot of like Nintendo would need to be involved with these things, but taking into consideration Nintendo and how they outsource to third parties and have people within that are responsible. Like they've got somebody, is it Sakamoto? I think that's responsible for Metroid. And so when
yeah,
Mercury Steam is making Metroid Dread, he's working with them to make sure that like he's kind of shepherding it and stuff. So
yeah,
in a world where they had a couple of people internally that are able to kind of shepherd these things and have the creative conversations and whatever, um, and include as many Nintendo folks as possible in it, but we can have uh, an animated Mario movie from Illumination, or Donkey Kong movie or Star Fox movie or whatever, like that
yeah,
style of thing, a live action Zelda, but then also like like you said, Splatoon anime or like a Metroid series that's kind of a la Mandalorian, but probably
yeah,
not live action, or um,
yeah,
Animal Crossing, like slice of life kind of sh- show, something along
yeah.
those lines. Like those would be
Right.
super cool. But I would love to have one
Yeah.
thing from Nintendo out every year in some form or
Mm-hmm.
fashion. Would be great.
Yeah, that'd be fun. And I was even thinking about it of like why am I so excited for the Mario Galaxy movie just to see if like Wart? And, like,
Yeah.
what's the big deal? And it's like, well, it just is. It feels like it's legitimizing something
Hmm.
that I enjoyed. Uh, that's more niche of
Hmm.
like, yeah, the final boss from Super Mario Brothers 2. Everyone knows him. Your best friend Wart,
Yeah.
and he's shown up in this movie. Uh, and it's like we don't need a movie to legitimize things we love, but
Sure.
it is like it does kind of do that. It's like why you get excited when like a book you love is getting an adaptation, or sometimes it makes you nervous. Um,
Yeah.
and you get upset when the movie changes things from the book because it's
Hmm.
like, well, this is not the thing that I wanted, even though the book still exists. Uh, it just feels like it puts these things that you love into a cultural spotlight
Hmm.
for a little bit, and that's really exciting. Like as massive and as popular as like Nintendo stuff is, it's like
Hmm.
it does get a little bit more shine when every so often you get a movie
Yeah.
for Mario,
Hmm.
and that's just like yeah, that's just a fun thing to be in on the big thing from the ground floor. It feels like, even though it's like yeah, I that's hot take. I'm a Mario fan. Like
Oof, how dare.
man, who knew? Um,
Yeah.
so
I think an
yeah,
interesting thought, just to attach something that you mentioning Wart, and like why is it exciting to see Wart in it, is
mhm,
um in the, when you're reading a book and you get to see the movie and you see it on the big screen and stuff, like seeing, visualizing the full thing and getting to be like kind of enraptured by it, or there's a, but lost in it, or like seeing the full world all at once, like that's a really cool thing. It is
yeah,
funny that for some reason seeing the trailers for or watching the Mario movie, which I agree is not like a phenomenal movie, and uh, but like compared to other kids movies and getting to watch that with Ezra, it's like it
yeah,
is palatable beyond measure.
yes, yeah,
Although I do wish that the needle drops, like, I mean, it's everybody's
yes,
thing, but
right,
yeah. Nevertheless, seeing that world, in some ways it's weird because it feels like, wow, I'm seeing like the full world, even though it's technically just a 2D slice of anything that you're seeing.
yeah,
Whereas when you're playing the game, you're getting oftentimes the 3D complete, like you can go uh, and be in the whole
yeah,
world. But there's like this weird, like each of them kind of has something that the other doesn't, maybe,
hmm,
because what they can put on the screen is something that's a like a picture perfect, version
yeah,
of that world that we're just happen to be seeing through a camera or whatever, as compared to in the game where it's like, well, they're going to do the best they can,
yeah,
but it can't have everything, and it's going to have walls eventually, whereas this one could go on it infinitely. So
sure,
it's, so seeing Wart, all that to say is like in the game he's just a little guy, but now he's a whole character, and like he
yeah,
could have a whole life, which is just fun to get to enjoy
yeah.
them more fully.
Oh yeah. Uh, how about the Zelda movie? We can
Yeah.
wrap up here shortly, but how do you feel? Like I'm more positive about the Mario Galaxy movie. The Zelda movie is like I did not like the idea when they announced it, and I'm warming up to it every little
Hmm.
tidbit they have. How do you feel?
I I think I was hesitantly optimistic from the
Yeah.
get go. Um, but I mean, yeah, definitely, had IGN April Fool's
Hmm.
video in my head, like, "Ugh."
Right.
When they gave I mean, this is a very cool take, but agreed with everybody else basically that when they gave the cast reveal and it was two people I'd never heard of, I was like, dope. That's what I
Excellent.
wanted to see. Um,
Yeah.
and the fact that it's the guy who made the King of the Planet of the Apes, which I haven't seen that movie specifically, but West Ball and blah blah, like all the little bits that are coming out have reinforced my hesitant optimism. But generally speaking, I think I'm feeling most excited about that of all of the um, Nintendo visual properties kinds of things.
Yeah.
And I could be disappointed for sure, but it's, yeah, the Lord of the Rings fan of me in me is like, come on, just stick the landing and make it feel like
Yeah.
Zelda and not like Lord of the Rings, and that's going to be a challenge, I think.
Yes.
But yeah, and how do you show all the different side, like the goofy and the serious side? And
Yeah.
there's a lot of questions about it, but I think I'm just hoping that it's going to be okay.
Yes, and that is something I really hope that the Zelda movie includes is like you forget how weird The Legend of
Mhm.
Zelda is. It's like Legend of Zelda and Oh Brother Where Art Thou. Every time I experience one of those, it's like I just forgot the weird stuff in this, um,
Yeah.
and I would
He
love for
turned
them
me
to
into a
include.
he turned into a frog.
We thought you was a toad. Um, but yeah, just stuff like that where it's like include. I don't
Mhm.
know if we want to go straight to Tingle, but like
Yeah,
include just some of the weird stuff that's in there, and I hope they kind of
yeah.
nailed that. But
Me too. Yeah.
um,
Mm.
well, we can wrap up now here. But one name, one game. What are you playing now?
Mm. I I'm playing Pokemon Pokopia.
Nice.
It's a good little time. It's a good little time,
Good little
and
time.
I need to. I probably need to stop, but I probably won't.
It's becoming a little bit of a problem.
It's fun. What
Well,
about you?
I have jumped into Lego Party. I did buy it
Oh, I heard
and
you
played
talking
it. And
about that 2 weeks ago.
yes, pulled the
Nice.
trigger. We
Uh
got
huh.
Lego Party.
What do you think so far?
It, it's what you expect of Mario Party, but it's
All right.
Lego, and
Nice.
that's a good time. It's a little weird because it's like you can hop right in. If you know Mario Party, you can hop
Mhm.
straight in, and it's like, yep, I know what's going on here, but it's like in a slightly different language than
Hmm.
Mario Party because it
Mhm.
just feels like everything has the same grammar as Mario Party, but there's different words, but you can figure out the words pretty quickly.
Uh huh.
Um, but yeah, it's just straight Mario Party, but it's a good time.
Nice.
Well, Parker, thank you again for joining me. We're all too out on the internet.
Ooh, these days I'm not.
Great.
So there you go. Have a good
Godspeed.
day, everybody.
Good. Excellent. Well, thank you all for listening in. You can follow us on the major podcasting services or on YouTube. You can press all the good buttons if you enjoy the conversation. And Quick Play is now just one small part of the Playwell Network, which includes shows like Nothing New Under the Porch, which is a satire, comedy, and theologically bent discussion on video games from Nick Porch. A link to Nothing New Under the Porch and other Playwell Network shows can be found at playwellnetwork.com. But you can find Quick Play on the proper socials at Quick Play Pod and let us know what is the future of Nintendo Pictures. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks. Bye.